Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making a multi-ribbon bow using 4 ribbons. If you're new to the channel, I'm Julie Samaco, owner of Southern Charm Wreaths, where we make beautiful wreaths and teach you how to make and sell them. We're coming to you from our wreath workshop. If you enjoyed this video and enjoy it, you can save it for later. You could also give us a thumbs up or heart wherever you're watching this video. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to use are wired ribbon. It's so important to use the quality wired ribbon. So that's where I'm going to start with some wired ribbon. And the first thing we're going to do is roll out some ribbon. I'm going to be using, I always make a little bit of a tail, so this could be as long as you want it, depending on your project. So for just this video purposes, I'm going to create it about 8 inches. And then we're going to pinch into my fingers. All right, so stay tuned if you don't do it by hand, and I'm going to show you how to do it on a bow maker. All right, so pinch it into your 2 fingers. I lay this down on the mat, or you can eyeball it. We're going to make these loops 12 inches on the mat, which produce a 6-inch loop. So we've got our first 6-inch loop. Now, when we're creating our loop below our thumb, we're just going to twist it towards us. We just need to give it a little twist so that all of the pretty side of the ribbon is facing forward. We're going to lay it down on the mat again to 12 inches and take it towards the back and pinch. All right, so now we've got 2 loops. I'm going to cut this off with a bolt, just like this. 2 loops, rabbit ear loops. Moving on to another 2.5-inch ribbon. We're going to do the same exact thing. Pinch it into our 2 fingers, but you'll notice now, instead of holding it at the 2 fingers, I'm gradually moving the ribbon closer to my palm. All right, so we're going to lay this down, measure out 2 loops, but they're going to measure 6 inches each, which means 12 inches on my mat. All right, let's do one more. Create the loop, pinch. If you're creating a loop above your thumb, twist away from you. Creating a loop under your thumb, twist towards you. All right, so we've got that loop, and I'm going to cut this off the bolt. Now at this point, the bow is a little lopsided. You know, we've got a line of this ribbon and a line of that ribbon. We need to mix this up. So as we make our bow, we are able to incorporate the different ribbons by just mixing them up. All right, so now I've got an X with this second ribbon we added, and I'm going to make an X with the first ribbon we added. All right, so we've got, or not an X, but you know, diagonal. How about that? So we've got that right now. You can see how I'm holding my ribbon in my hand. All right, so there's that. Now we're gonna switch instead of the 2.5 inch. Now you can keep going with 2.5 inch if you want, but I like to intermingle different widths just to give a little different texture. So we're gonna go ahead and add in another 2 loops. Doing the same exact thing, we're going to measure out. This time, instead of 12, we're going to knock it down to 10. So 10 inches on your mat produces a 5-inch loop. So there's 1, twist away from my thumb, and then 2. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to trim that off. Remember to make it diagonal, so this intermingles all of the loops. Your bow loop should be on top, and your ribbon streamer should be on the back side of it. Okay, now we're moving on to another ribbon. I'm going to do the same exact thing. We're going to do 5-inch loops. 1, 2. This is a little thin and sheer. If you're new to bow making, the sheer ones are a little trickier to use. All right, so we've got this one here. If your hand is cramping, you're holding your ribbons too tight. Just need it enough where it doesn't fall on the floor. It's not a death grip. I could pull any of these ribbons loose and they would come loose. So it's not very tight. All right, so here's this, but I like to add a little more of this top color to the back. So all I'm gonna do is put a little bit of a ribbon streamer right there on the back. So now we've got some of this on the back side. Now grab your florist wire. I use 22 gauge florist wire. I'm going to turn my wrist over like I'm checking my watch, lift up my pointer finger, and that's where I'm gonna slide the wire right underneath. Right, just like this. Before I tie it off, I just wanna check my loops. All of the colors are intermingled. Okay, and everything is turned right side up. And then I'm gonna turn this over, and as I pull this bow towards my belly and the wire away from me, I'm gonna give it a little twist. So there is our bow. Now at this point, you can go through and dovetail all of these little ends to give a finished off look. Just go through and do that. It's really, I don't know, it just sort of tells everybody that, hey, we finished this bow in a professional manner. But this is obviously not needed if you don't want to do it. All right, so we're just going to go over here and do this one and one more. So let me show you what we've got. So we've got this bow that's finished. As I add this to my garland, my wreath, my lantern, whatever I'm adding this to, I use the wire that we secured, but I also move these little streamers around so that we've got some streamers that are on the top and then some streamers that are on the bottom. So you just sort of mix it up a little bit. But there is ribbon bow number one. The other one that we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you to make the exact same bow, but using this. This is an easy bow maker. We're gonna start, remember we put that little streamer on the back side. So I'm gonna first start with that. Go ahead and put our streamer down. So anything you make on the bow maker, you have to build from the back forward. Anything that you make hand tied, I guess you could still build from the back forward, but you also can build from the top down. So when you hand tie, you have a little more versatile options. You could also add you know, stuff to the back of it. But when you're starting with a bow maker, you really have to think about what you're gonna do and layer, because you're building from the back forward. All right, so we've got our first little ribbon streamer. Remember what we put on the back side. We're gonna add in our 2 loops. So it's gonna go in 1, or remember we're gonna twist. So our first loops we made were 6 inches. So we're gonna lay them out 6 inches right here on my ruler. That's on the machine, and twist and lay this down to 6 inches right here. And then cut this off the bolt. So now we've got our first layer of ribbon right here. And if you want to go ahead and dovetail as you go, you can. So this kind of prevents you from having to do it last. Obviously, if you need longer ribbon streamers, you just make that longer. Or I teach my Wreath of the Month Club group how to add ribbon streamers so it looks like it's attached to the bow, but it's really not. So here's layer 1. All right, so now we're gonna do our other 2.5 inch. Let's put that over here. I'm going to choose to come in this direction. You can also start it over in this direction, but I'm filling in this gap right here. All right, so we're gonna start by adding our ribbon and twisting. This is going to be 6 inches. If you recall, our first hand-tied bow that we just did is 6 inches. All right, and twist. Create our second loop. I'm holding this down so it doesn't pop up. Okay, push this down. Trim it off of the bolt. This one's hard to tell which is the front and which is the back. All right, so we've got this over here. Doing the bow maker does take a little more time, but I understand that some people have, you know, hand issues that didn't used to be young like they used, you know, your hands aren't as young as they used to be kind of issues. All right, so we've got, this is what our bow looks like now. So we've got 2 layers, 2.5 inch, all our 6-inch loops. Now we're adding in another loop, doing the same exact thing. But remember, this time it's 5 inches. Now, if you needed an airier looking bow, you can always make them all the same length. There's no right or wrong way to make your ribbon bows. So, and try not to overthink it. Try not to really stress about it and overthink it. There's nothing you can't fix. All right, we've got that here. So 5 inches. 5 inches. Let's just pull it a little bit. Make sure it's right there on the money. And trim, or dovetail, I should say. So we've got our first 1.5 inch loop added. Okay, so we're gonna add our second 1.5 inch loop. This one. I really do like this sheer. Beautiful lime green in it too. All right, so we're gonna add this. Twist. This is gonna be 5 inches. Somebody's gonna probably comment that it needs to be not even amount of loops. The rule of 3, the rule of 3. I hear somebody here thinking it right now. I'm here to tell you that that's not always the case. If you want odd amount of loops, go for it. But that is not needed. This is a little sheer, so it's kind of slipping out a little bit. Let me hold this down. Measure out our 5 inches. And then we're going to cut this off our bolt. All right, so we're just going to mix this up a little bit. All right, so this is what our bow looks like on top of our bow maker. I'm going to grab my Florist Wire. I did get my bow maker off Amazon, but I know they have them in stores as well. All right, just lift this off. Make sure to get that little tail that we started with. All right, just like this. Gonna add our our Florist Wire to the back and then tie this off. I go through to make sure all of our loops are to the front, our streamers are towards the back, and we've got an even disbursement of color. All right, and then we're gonna pull the bow towards us and the wire away from us at the same time and twist the bow. All right, so there you have it. So we have our bows hand tied and our bow using the machine. So both of these are really fun creations for a fall bow, but imagine making this for Halloween and Christmas and Easter. Again, use the quality ribbon. It will make a difference. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to give us a subscribe. You can save this video to refer to later, and thanks for joining me. You have more tutorials like this on our website, southerncharmwreaths.com. southerncharmwreaths.com for more bow making tutorials. Just go to southerncharmwreaths.com, in the search box, type in bow, and you'll have them all right there. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.